Well, good evening, everybody. This is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero with a quick weather update, really just for what's going to happen tomorrow. We got quite a stormy setup for tomorrow morning with some weather whiplash and temperature drops. So let's get right to the computer and I'll start talking about that with you. All right, so over on the computer screen here, we do have quite a lot of a wind advisory here. So inside this wind advisory, winds are going to be southwest 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 55 miles per hour. Isolated wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour possible Friday morning specifically. We'll talk about why in a second. This is going to be southern Connecticut, northeast New Jersey, and southeast New York. So quite a bit of wind we're going to be having to contend with through this. Now, wind's only going to be part of the issue because we're also going to have quite a bit of rain. And there is a ever so slight, an ever little slight chance of a thunderstorm. I don't put a lot into that, but I can't completely rule it out. So let's start going through things here, and we'll start Storm Prediction Center, right on the cusp there of the thunderstorm activity. So it's just because of how dynamic this system is going to be and how strong it is. Isolated strong to severe thunderstorms capable of producing occasional damaging winds. That is in the marginal risk area. But that is for tonight and then tomorrow in this area, which is interesting that you're seeing a thunderstorm chance going all the way up into Maine in December. The thunderstorms may occur over the mid-Atlantic and northeast early Friday, in the Pacific Northwest Friday afternoon through Friday night. So we're focusing, of course, on the northeast there, not the little bit in the Pacific Northwest, but we do have quite a bit of instability to talk about there. So we are going to jump right into the surface analysis here. So in this, we are looking at high pressure that was in place today. Gave a pretty nice day. Temperatures did get a little warmer because the rotation of this high was a bit south. So that means with clockwise rotation in the northern hemisphere, we're getting a little bit of warm air advection around the backside of the high coming up from the south. And that gave us some nice weather today. The snow did melt a little bit, unfortunately. I do like the snow, but if you don't, the snow is pretty much going to be gone by tomorrow because of what's coming. So that's the setup that we have right here. And this low pressure system is going to be the main character. This is showing, it looks like a 984 millibar low center, which is pretty strong. And we're going to get into a little bit of upper air dynamics and discuss a phenomena that's happening with this. Just a quick little peek here on the satellite. So I do have up, this is the long wave infrared, because anything else it's not very detailed. So this you can kind of see a little bit more detail in the satellite. So right now going over the New York City area, pretty widespread, like even cloud. Not really any detail in that, but we do see a little gap. This could be a little dry slotting there ahead of a little bit of a bigger system that I was showing you, kind of a textbook system. Now on the radar here, this is where it does kind of look like this textbook system. And what I'm mentioning here is this shape. So my college professor always called this the big shrimp or the comma Q. So if you look at this is kind of where, if you're having shrimp cocktail, this is where the head of the shrimp would be, and this goes into the tail of the shrimp. Or a comma, this is where the dot part of the comma is, and this goes into the tail of the comma. So this is kind of a textbook setup that we're seeing there. Now, coming into the northeast, we're not really seeing too much just yet, but it is going through central Pennsylvania, and it's going to be making its way in our area in the overnight hours and really impacting your morning commute. So let's start taking a look at that on the good old Tropical Tidbits on the GFS. But on something I don't normally show here because I don't get too much detail. I know some people do love more of the detail, and here is a little bit more. So here, we're starting out with the 850 millibar vorticity. Now, this is going to be key because we are going to be experiencing what's called a low-level jet. So that's the jet stream, the very tightly packed river of high wind low in the atmosphere. Low-level jets typically are in the 1 to 3,000 foot altitude level. The jet stream is usually way up there in the 500 millibar level at 10,000 plus feet. But here, this is where we're seeing only a couple thousand feet up, we're seeing that jet streak. So when I advance through this, there's the jet streak. Right there, that dark red. That means right here, 12Z, which is 7 a.m. Eastern time. That streak is right in central Pennsylvania level. And this is pretty much going through the whole frame here, from Canada down to, I would say, North Carolina there. So that's quite a long streak there. Now, typically, the precipitation is a little bit ahead of the low-level jet there. So we're seeing that make its way through very quickly here, and it is very intense. Now, the other thing to look at when you're looking at vorticity at the 850 millibar level is the vorticity at the 500 millibar level. This will see how big the system is going to be or how intense it could be. So now I'm going to switch into upper dynamics, 500 vorticity. And here we see these streaks more west. That is a classic low-level jet setup with something called a tilted trough or a baroclinic tilt. So this baroclinic environment comes from as you increase in height, the winds are strong, tilted from the east to the west. So we start going back to the 850 level here. We have that right over central Pennsylvania. So just a couple thousand feet up, we're seeing the low-level jet there. And then when we go up a little bit more to 500 millibar, right there, now it's a bit more west. This is going into Ohio, just at the western border of Pennsylvania. So that tilt means this is a very dynamic system. This is going to produce a lot of storm action. That's typical with all these low-level jets. So that's what we're seeing on the GFS. And as I was going through each of these forecast models, the Euro, the Icon, the NAM, the 3-kilometer NAM, and the HRRR, they're all showing the same thing, all those that were able to at least. Like here on the HRRR, this is the most recent forecast model to come in at 0Z tomorrow. So there's your 850 jet, right at 12Z to 14Z. And then if we go to the upper dynamic, oh, this one doesn't have upper dynamics. That was why. Let's see, let's go on here. So this is the 3-kilometer NAM. There's your low-level jet, right around that 12Z, 14Z time frame. And then we switch to now the 500 millibar vorticity, and there it is back. Now, this is quite a strong tilt. So basically, it's tilting from the New York City area to the Ohio area. That's quite a tilt there. So that means there's a lot of instability in this that's making it tilt quite a bit. Strong system. So what does this look like for rain? So let's take a look at that now. I'm going to bring up the simulated radar here on the GFS. There is 12Z, 7 a.m. That is a lot of rain in a short period of time. So basically, this is right here's 1 a.m. and there's 7 a.m. So between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., it's going to really ramp up. Stay with us through about 1 p.m. and then start clearing out after 1 p.m. going into 7 p.m. Now, the interesting part here is once this system makes its way through, we see there's kind of the rotation there. We have the counterclockwise flow. On the back side of this, now we're getting cold air advection. So we have almost due northerly winds with cold air coming down, and with how tightly packed this is, That means it's going to be very windy. That's what's causing those high wind warnings and wind advisories, where we're seeing rates like sustained winds 20 to 30 miles per hour and gusts up to 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, which definitely exceed tropical storm force winds, for the gusts at least. So this is going to be quite a dynamic system. The last thing I'll mention are these temperatures. So let me bring up the temperatures. Here we go. So we're starting off the day. So this is at Newark. So we're starting off the day tomorrow in the low to maybe mid 50s. But as the day progresses, that's where typically the temperature goes up through the day, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow, the temperature will be dropping as the morning progresses into the afternoon. We're starting the day in the 50s, and we're probably going to end the day in the 30s and the 40s. So quite a temperature drop with this, with all the strong cold wind coming in. So quite a dynamic system tomorrow. I just wanted to give you a quick little update on that because it is something you got to prepare for. Give yourself extra time in the morning for all the storm damage that could happen from downed trees, power outages, anything like that. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that little preview there for tomorrow morning. This is really just the morning into the afternoon forecast, nothing beyond that, just because after that, it's really quiet with the weather. Tomorrow is what you have to be careful with, specifically in the morning. Give yourself extra time. Be prepared for power outages. If you've seen my playlist that I have on how to prepare for a storm, definitely reference that. If you haven't, feel free to check that out on my channel. How to prepare for a storm, probably you should have been done already, but have things like your batteries, your extra medications, emergency weather radio that you can get from my affiliate link below, bettersaferadio.com. So you have emergency communications and a NOAA weather radio. Very crucial when the power goes out, internet goes out, and maybe cell phone service goes out. So you are prepared on multiple fronts there. All right, so that is going to be a wrap for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed a little science-y lesson in there with baroclinic stuff that we talked about at the 850 and 500 millibar levels. Hope you enjoyed that little part there. If you want to learn a little bit more, feel free to ask away in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, get more weather information, and also I'll be bringing back in the beginning of the year, or shortly into the beginning of the year, some more electric vehicle content as well. So subscribe for that and turn the little bell notification on so you get notified whenever I upload videos like this or I go live. All right, everybody, this is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Please stay safe through this next system. It's going to be quite an intense system, but it's going to be quick. So we can get through that, and then through the weekend, much better. Stay safe. I'll see you all in the next video.